When I started to learn game development about 3 years ago, I just watched a ton of general game dev videos. I wasn't ready to jump into any game engine and do simplest things. That's why I wanted to learn the basic stuff that goes with game development, without the layer of specific game engine. And I left the choice to pick the right one for me later into the future. So I just watched and watched tutorials for a very long time before doing even the first big step with my own game. Was that the right thing? When to stop watching tutorials and start making games? Let me explain. In the indie game dev genre, there is a term called tutorial hell. And in the cycle of tutorial hell, you often forget what you have learned so far because you're not using it. And you watch so many tutorials and you don't even do a thing with it. And that comes from the idea that you have to learn first something before you can achieve or make a first step. And that statement is very true, because you need to know what you want to do before you can make it. Otherwise, you will just get into the game engine and you will click random things and expect to make a game. And that's not going to come out very well. But sometimes when you're stuck in tutorial hell for a very long period of time, like for example 6 months or even a year, and you're not doing anything with that knowledge that you've gathered from those tutorials, you're going to feel very sad about that. Okay, we'll get back to tutorial hell idea a bit later in this video. For now, let me tell you about tutorials. You may have already experienced it, but sometimes tutorials are simply outdated. For example, the current version of the game engine that you want to pick is, let's say, 6.0, and tutorial that you are watching is about 3 or 5 years old, and then the things that you wanted to make were built in a different way. Let's be honest, the game engines are constantly being updated, and so the ways that you can deal with them. So the simplest feature could be done in very different way in 2020, and in 2026 that feature could be in some other place and you can't find it right now. It's impossible to keep updated every single tutorial on the internet. So it's just best to pick the version of your tutorial that is based on the current version of your engine. And often when you're watching a tutorial, you can see the version of the game engine somewhere in the corner. Depends on the game engine that you want to learn. And you may ask me what I would do differently today when I was learning from the zero. And of course, jumping straight into game engine is not possible. So rather, I would take a different path of education. And yeah, I would still watch videos and tutorials, but I would start differently. I would start with general game dev videos. That would let me to confirm if the game dev genre is the right path for me before I start to learn something hard. And on the next step is choosing the right game engine. And you should change your focus to the topics that are related strictly to that one game engine, rather than learning parts from that one and the other one. That way you will get the grasp of the basics that your engine of choice is providing to you for your game development. But remember to stick to the basics of that engine, because soon you will need them. And as the next step, you should start a very small project, your first steps into that game engine. And by that, I mean hopping right into it and thinking what you could do with it. So maybe you want your character to move. Then let's find a tutorial that is all about it. How to add movement to my character in Unity. And with those basics, you can improve on the foundations that you already have. So maybe you want to mess around just a little bit more and add that double jump. Or maybe you can add some text overlay for the plot of your story. And in my eyes, that way of education will let you out of that tutorial hell in 2026. Also, there's another reminder to start a very small project. Otherwise, you can end up in the mess. At first, you don't want to make a big game or even a medium one. Just start very tiny with something very simple, like an easy 2D platformer, or even bouncing a ball off the wall. And when you think that you're done with this small project, try to upgrade it. For example, you can try to add sound effects for the steps that your character is making, or maybe a double jump or a sprint mechanic for your character. Those are fun little things but will let you learn a lot, and that very small project of yours will quickly become a playground for your tests and things that you want to learn. And at this point of the video, I've got a trick for you. There are tutorials for specific game engines that you can use for your advantage. You can focus on a specific niche of tutorials that let you code along with it. So for example, there is a tutorial that has 10 parts of it. That will take you a couple of hours, but it's definitely worth it. That way, the tutorial will slowly guide you and you will learn basics. So you just open a tutorial on another screen, and on your own desktop, you've got your own game engine. And you do the things that the person in the tutorial is saying to do. That way, you will end up with a nice project and you'll see how other people are structuring their games. Even I recently posted a full tutorial about Godot, where you can code along with me a very simple top-down RPG game, so make sure to check it out. Learning by coding gives you the experience of solving an issue. That way you can remember more and get better as game developer. And only by watching tutorials without doing something along with them or trying to use that knowledge won't let you get the full grasp of the experience. And that way you won't remember as much. Your brain craves rewards. So when your project is not very fun, then you probably won't be able to get back to it very quickly. And I know that for a small game it is very hard to make it fun if you have to just create another simple version of Pong. So you can try to add features that you can enjoy coding. For example, add a score system to it, or maybe even some upgrades to the ball. For example, when your ball hit a certain area, you can change the color of it. Maybe make it faster, make it slower, make it bigger, smaller, something like that. And that way will let you enjoy your project just a little bit more, and you'll be more happy to get back into it soon. Oh, and did I mention that it's not like after some time you'll completely put down watching tutorials, as even the best developers still do, but just less often. There is no magical number that you should spend on watching tutorials. Everyone is different and every learning process is different. But if you'll start to watch tutorials effectively, you'll escape that tutorial hell way faster. Maybe the best could be to code along. So find the right tutorial and code along with it. And be aware that you are not alone with this issue, as it is very common. There's a lot of new game devs out there. And if you need a nice community to talk about game related stuff, then you can simply join my Discord server. The link is in the description. Also, if you want to see my very first steps with my own game, then make sure to check out my very first devlog here.